All right, episode 9. Improving your life slightly but consistently beats aiming high and never moving by James Clear. That was a great quote. We are talking about goals versus systems today. This is part 3. We are jumping into part 3 of our 3-part series. Part 1 was identity design. We are working at the way we are going to speak to ourselves in order to best predict our outcomes. Part 2 is we are looking at what are we going to get rid of before we start our brand new habits and our things that we tell ourselves we're going to do. The reason that we have to cut out something out of our lives before starting something new is you cannot add a lock-in. Like, you cannot become the best version of yourself if you are still stuck doing old version of you things. So we're looking at the ways that we can reduce our addictions, our habits, the wastes of time, get those out. We just finished that up. We are now going into part 3, designing our systems for our habits. This is episode 9, again, goals versus systems. Let's get into it. So before you rush into doing more, it's important to understand how progress actually works. This is a quote from James Clear. He says, "Too often we convince ourselves that massive results require massive action." I always would convince myself of that. I would go to bed super late, like 4 a.m. And I would tell myself, wow, I did really bad today. I'm going to get up tomorrow at 6 a.m. in 2 hours, and I'm going to just really change everything. Tomorrow, I'm going to be so tough on myself. I'm not going to even let myself do anything fun. I'm going to do, and you cannot do that. You cannot put today's failures on tomorrow version of yourself. It's like that one quote that's like, if I miss a day running, I just add it on to tomorrow's run. So tomorrow, I only have to run 200 miles. It's like that. You can't just put your current failures onto tomorrow, because then you're going to be more afraid of doing it tomorrow. So if this, and then this only works if you're aiming at the right thing in the first place anyways. So make sure you aren't picking a goal that's a waste of time. We're going to go back to the identity chapter and think about it. The goals that we want to come from a place of strength within our identity, not coming to be better than one other person, not coming to be revenge or whatever it is. I would recommend using your, almost like your demons, like using the parts of you that are a little bit like, if you're a perfectionist or if you're OCD, you can turn that around and use it to be OCD and perfectionist about your goals, about the positive things, about what you want to achieve. And then instead of letting it be an obstacle for you, you can turn it around and use that grit to push yourself towards your goals. But I wouldn't let your goals be originated from a place of wanting to be better than anyone else or insecurity. Otherwise, it's going to fall apart when that situation stops happening, if that makes sense. So we're going to look at it, and we're going to go check out that chapter if we need to. But anyways, we're going to break down how much time it feels like we actually do have, I guess. So we have less time in the day than we think. Do you remember when I asked you if you had a year, what would you do with your time? Let's go back to that. We're going to break down our 24-hour day. So we have 24 hours, and we have sleep, which is for 8 of those. We're not on our phone for 8 hours a day anymore, so that's good. But we still have school, homework, actual work, eating 3 meals a day, cooking, cleaning, random appointments, things you forgot to do. So anyways, you probably have about 1 to 3 hours of good habit productivity time where you're not on your phone anymore, and you have about 1 to 3 hours before bedtime that you can really do something, right? Because all of us are actually way more busy than we feel like we are. So make sure you're realistic about the amount of time you're going to have for your goals, and you're not going to overdo it. Secondly, you want to make sure your goals are SMART verified. So SMART is an acronym, and if you've heard of this, awesome, but it stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So you want to ensure your goals are clear, actionable, and trackable, not just vague aspirations. So what does this mean? When you say, I want to, I don't know, when you say, I want to read more, that becomes, I want to read 15 minutes. Or you could say, I want to read 1 chapter a day or something like that. So our actionable step is going to be setting a goal and smart verifying it in your notes app. If you've been following along, you should have a notes app titled Psychology Hacks or notes or a piece of paper or something. And we are now on episode 9, which is goals versus systems. So you are going to pick something that is a goal of yours and you are going to verify it. And you're going to put it down vertically, SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And next to that, I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. Just put exactly how you are going to implement that into your specific goal. And don't worry, I'm going to tell you the specifics, and we're going to get very specific about how to achieve goals in the next video. Get excited for video episode 10, and we'll get into that. But for now, we are going to make sure that we are out of our comfort zone, but not pushing it too far. Hopefully you should already be out of your comfort zone a little bit because we're cutting out a lot of bad habits, but we're going to push ourselves a little bit further than that into some goals that we really want to start doing, which is probably the reason you came to this channel in the first place. So I'm sure you already have some goals, but start with one goal for now and stick to it. Don't set too many goals. It's not because you can't do it. I'm sure you can for a few days, but after a while, if you have a lot of goals and they're all new, you're not going to be able to keep them in track very well in your mind. Because when you think about one goal, it's going to make you think about the other goal that you haven't done and the other goal you haven't done. So it's important that we take the step and approach that we've been doing this whole time, the domino effect, the momentum. We're going to start small and work our way up. So what I told you at the beginning of this whole series was like, pick a goal and like say it's like cleaning your room. Keep the clothes off your floor for 5 days, right? That was a specific action, clothes off of floor, and a specific amount of time. So 5 days, Monday to Friday. So that would be specific, yes, measurable, yes, achievable, yes, relevant, yes, and time-bound, yes. So that was a good one. So that's, if you still done that, if you hit 5 out of 5 days, or if you're still going at it strong, good for you. That was your first goal. So now what you can do, if you did that well and successfully, you can add a second goal on top of that for week 2. So if you failed and you didn't do that the first time, try again. Week 2, you're going to still be doing habit number 1. If you succeeded and you did habit number 1, you can tack on another goal onto that. That's why you could have a chart of your successes. I would recommend getting a chart or tracking it somehow, or maybe getting a calendar. And you would start small, and it would become a bigger and bigger chart as time goes on because you're doing more habits. But if you're struggling to do habits at the same time and you're doing too many and they're pulling you down, you don't want that to be the situation. So you want to make sure you lock in a habit, you're getting it, you got your cue settled, you got your situation, your environment primed and ready for you, and you're doing that well, almost subconsciously without even thinking about it before you switch to the next goal, right? So I'm done talking about goals, but James Clear isn't. He doesn't like goals at all. He says that systems are better than goals, and here's why. He says the implicit assumption behind any goal is this: once I reach my goal, then I'll be happy. The problem with a goals first mentality is that you're continuously putting off happiness until your next milestone is met. He also says goals are overrated in the way that they change your life only for that moment in time. As I'm sure you've realized in the past, it creates an either-or scenario. Either you achieve your goals and you're happy, or you don't and you feel like a failure. It creates conflict. So I still wanted to talk about goals because I feel like that's important for picking what your systems are going to be. Systems, according to him, are the way that you achieve your goals. So you're going to focus on step-by-step processes, like locking in exactly what time you're going to the gym, how you work out, and it's less focused on becoming whatever it was that your goal was, 250 pounds of lean muscle. So that's goals versus systems. That's the end of that video. Next up, we're going to have the real one, which is the kicker. This is episode 10, system design, and it's going to be a good one. So hopefully I'll see you there. Thanks.